Okay, today we're going to talk about working with powers of 10 and decimals, but we're going to talk about dividing with powers of 10 and with decimals. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write the date in. Okay, it's going to be page 27 for me, and this is NBT 1 and NBT 2. Alright, so dividing with powers of 10. Decimals. Alright, so I want you to think about yesterday or Friday. I can't get my days right. Thursday, one of those days last week, we discussed multiplying with powers of 10s and how our numbers shifted place values to the left because they got larger because we were multiplying by powers of 10. Well, today in dividing by powers of 10, we're going to try to figure out a different pattern. All right? I want you to take out this sheet from your day 24 pages. It says 2,500 divided by 10 to the first power. Okay, that equals 2,500 divided by 10 because 10 to the first power is 10, which equals 250. If I divide 2,500 by 10, it equals 250. Okay, now 2,500 divided by 10 to the second power. Remember, the second power means 10 times 10, not 10 times 2, not 20, but 10 times 10. I multiply 10 by itself 2 times. So 2,500 divided by 10 times 10. That equals 2,500 divided by 100. Well, if I divide it by 100, I think about the 0 here crosses this 0 out, the 0 here crosses this 0 out. I'm left with 25. All right. So now I'm going to think 2,500 divided by 10 to the third power. So this equals 2,500 divided by 10 times 10 times 10, which equals 2,500 divided by 1,000. Okay? Because 3 10s, 3 zeros, 1,000. All right? So I think about it. Okay, this 0 cancels this 0 out. This 0 cancels this 0 out. But I've got another 0 or another place value to account for. That means my numbers now have to shift. Instead of shifting to the left and getting larger, they're going to shift to the right and they're going to get smaller. So now that answer is 2 5/10. 2 5/10. When I divide 2,500 by 1,000, I get 2 5/10. All right, so I'm going to take my next number, 2,500 divided by 10 to the fourth power equals 2,500 divided by 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, which equals 2,500 divided by 10,000. And that actually equals 0 25/100. 0 25/100. Now, when I do 2,500 divided by 10 to the fifth power, that means 2,500 divided by 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So that equals 2,500 divided by 100,000. Okay, which seems hard to accomplish because 100,000 is larger than 2,500, but it can be divided. Our answer will just end in a decimal. So when I divide 2,500 by 100,000, I get 0 25 thousandths. Okay. I want you to look at the patterns as you go down the quotients of the evaluate column, all your answers in this column right here. And I want you to describe 2 patterns that you noticed. You can pause the video and describe 2 patterns that you notice as you go down that column. Think about what's happening in terms of place value with each of our quotients. Think about what's happening in terms of our powers of 10 and what we're dividing by. Think about even what you know that we've talked about when we multiply by powers of 10 and knowing that division is the opposite operation of multiplication.
Emily Parnell, call the office. Miss Curley, call the office.
We're going to look at this sheet next. You should have your day 24 page exploring dividing by power of 10. Notice there are whole numbers here, not decimal numbers, and we're going to explore with those first. The first example I have is 350 divided by 10 to the 3rd power. What does that really equals? That really equals 350 divided by 10 times 10 times 10. Okay, so 3 tens there. And that really equals 350 divided by 1,000. Okay, if I divide 350 by 1,000, I have to move my place values 3 places, and this time instead of moving them left and it getting larger, I'm going to move them 3 place values to the right, and it's going to get smaller. So when I move my digits 3 place values to the right to get smaller, then I end up with 0 and 350 thousandths, or 0 and 35 hundredths. You could write it either way because that 0 on the end doesn't change the value of the number. Let's look at our place value explanation. So I had hundreds, I had tens, ones, there's a decimal right here, I have tenths, hundredths, and that's kind of running out of room here. And then last place value I have is thousandths. Okay. So, I have all those place values. My original number was 350. Now, every number had to shift 3 places to the right in this direction because we're dividing by 10 to the 3rd power. When we're dividing with powers of 10, we move our numbers right. So, I shifted 1, 2, 3. My 0 ended in the thousandths. I shift my 5, 1, 2, 3. My 5 ends in the hundredths. And I shift my 3 places, 1, 2, 3. My 3 ends in the tenths. So I end up with 0 and 350 thousandths, or 35 hundredths. Okay. Let's look at the second example together. 1,200 divided by 10 to the 2nd power. That really equals 1,200 divided by 10 times 10. Okay, which really equals 1,200 divided by 100. Now, that means all of my digits are going to shift 2 place values to the right. When I shift all of my digits 2 place values to the right, I get 12. So let's look at my place value chart and determine how that looks. I have thousands, I have hundreds, I have tens, I have ones, and beside the ones would be my decimal place, obviously. So I start with 1,200, and every digit has to shift 2 place values. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do my tenths and hundredths right here. So this 0 shifted 1, 2, and ended in the hundredths place. This 0 shifted 1, 2, and ended in the tenths place. There's a decimal here. My 2 shifted 2 place values, 1, 2, and ended in the ones place. And my 1 shifted 1, 2 place values and ended in the tens place. So I end up with 12 wholes. Okay. Now, if we look down here at the next example, we have a decimal number divided by 10 to the 2nd power. Same thing, I'm just shifting place values to the right. 104 tenths divided by 10 to the 2nd power equals 104/10 divided by 10 times 10. That equals 104/10 divided by 100. Okay, just kept breaking my power of 10 down. So that means I'm going to take this number and shift all of my place value, or all of my digits, 2 place values, because my power of 10 is 2 place values to the right. Okay, when I do that, I get, well, let's see what I get on my place value chart. So I have the hundreds place, I have the tens place, I have the ones place, and my decimal goes right here. I have the tenths place, I have the hundredths place, and I have the thousandths place. Okay. Had to write my THS up top because I ran out of room. All right, so I have 104/10, and everything has to shift 2 place values to the right, so this direction. So I have 1, 2, so my 4 ends in my thousandths. 1, 2, my 0 ends in my hundredths. 1, 2, my other 0 ends in my tenths. And then my whole number 1 ends up in my ones place. So I get 1 and 4 thousandths. 1 and 4 thousandths. Still the same digits, okay? Just shifted place values to the right because we divided by a power of 10. Okay. What I would like for you to do is try to solve at least, I want you to try to solve, this is dividing and multiplying, so you got to pay careful attention to your signs here. Remember, multiplying we move left, dividing we move right, okay? I want you to try to solve at least 2 problems on this page. In order to solve 2 problems on this page, you'll need to circle your sign and write an arrow as to which direction your place values or your digits are going to shift. Okay? Just like I circled the division sign and I wrote an arrow to the right because we shift to the right when we divide with powers of 10. Here I circled a multiplication sign and I said that we shift left when we multiply. You're going to choose 2 different examples on this page. You can choose any 2 to solve, and then circle your sign and note which direction you shift. You'll need to show your work here, just like I've done on my previous page, and show your place value chart over here. Okay? If you can show me all of your pages glued into your notebook or tucked inside of your notebook with all of the notes, you will earn 5 tickets.